In today's episode of Ask a Recruiter, I'm going to answer the question, Ben, I've applied to a role, but the recruiter is not answering me anymore. Can I reach out to another recruiter who works at the company to move forward in the process? Let's go. Now, the first thing we want to address is why. Why does this happen? Well, the thing is, a lot of people have this concern. A lot of people have applied to a role, talked to a recruiter, and then all of a sudden, that recruiter goes silent. What do you do as a candidate? How do you move forward? And how do you keep pursuing a job that you were initially very interested in? Just know if this is happening to you, you're not alone. Let's talk about why it happens and what you can do. Now, to me, this is really two issues. I'm going to talk about why it happens and then structurally, what are your courses of action you can take moving forward in terms of how does corporate recruiting work and how do you actually go about moving forward in the process. So typically, why? Why does this happen? It happens for three reasons. One, the recruiter is very, very busy, and because they are busy, they are not getting back to you in a timely manner. This actually happens a lot, and it's one of the most common reasons. Now, the second reason is they or HR or the hiring manager has determined you are not a fit. And instead of getting back to you like a normal, decent human, the recruiter is ghosting you. They're not reaching back out and letting you know, hey, you were not a fit. This is rude, but I probably don't have to tell you this happens all the time. Now, the third reason this happens is the recruiter actually doesn't have the information yet. They're waiting on the hiring manager to get back to them so that they can give you the information, and they're just waiting until they actually have something to say to you. Most recruiters don't want to reach out to you just to say, hey, I still don't have any information, but keep holding in there. Even though most candidates would probably prefer that, so they're waiting till they hear from them so they can let you know. Now I want to spend just a little bit of time talking about structurally how this works, how recruiting is set up internally in companies, and then how that relates to why it happens. Now, first things first, it's a really small company. There might only be one recruiter, or not even a recruiter, an HR person. In that case, there wouldn't be another person to reach out to. Now, when you go to larger organizations, mid-sized to very large organizations, there are typically whole teams of recruiters, and there's talent acquisition managers, sometimes directors, and sometimes, if it's a really large company, VPs and chief talent officers. When this is the case and you have a large team of recruiters, they are typically broken up into different verticals. So when I worked at Rockwell Automation as a corporate recruiter, I worked on basically everything test engineering, quality engineering, and some computer science, other related roles that had to do with security. So anybody who applied to any of those roles, they were probably going through me. But if you applied to a different role, so let's just say you applied to a buyer role or some type of purchasing role, and the recruiter wasn't answering you, if you then reached out to me, I would have no visibility to what that is. I might not even know who the recruiter on that role was without looking it up in a system. The point I'm making here is that all of these recruiters, and there could be a team of 5, a team of 20, a team of 100, they work on their own roles and they don't work collaboratively. So when you're when you're dealing with a recruiter, they're working on their rec. If you reach out to somebody else, they have no idea what's going on with that position. And again, often who the recruiter even is. So let's say you reach out to one of those recruiters. You applied to one of my roles, we talked, and for whatever reason, I'm not answering you. You apply to, or you reach out to another recruiter. You find them on LinkedIn and say, hey, I've applied to this role, but Ben isn't answering me. Can you help me? One of two things is going to happen. One, they're going to ignore you because it is not their role. Now, that's not the good thing to do. Ideally, they engage with you and they reach out to Ben. That's the second thing. So they might go, oh, okay, well, Ben is your recruiter here. Let me forward your email over to him. And that's probably as far as it goes. Now, what happens when I get that email? Now, if I was already intentionally ignoring you, it probably doesn't change anything. Now, if I did forget about you and go, oh my gosh, I forgot to get in touch with this candidate, that might be the catalyst to me reaching out and saying, hey, sorry it's taken so long. I do want to say though, the vast majority of times this actually isn't going to be very productive. You can do it. It's kind of a shot in the dark, kind of a Hail Mary, but corporate recruiters have their own roles and they don't really have access or visibility to what the other people are working on. It's like their own projects. So while you can do that, it is often not as productive as you would like. Again, shot in the dark. If you want to do it, go ahead. Just be polite with your messaging. This video is over, but I want you to watch this one. This one right here is job posting red flags. You might be experiencing a red flag right now with a recruiter not reaching out to you, but you don't have to wait to the interview to find red flags. You can identify them in the job posting, but you have to know what to look for. If you watch this video right here, you'll know all the red flags so you can avoid applying to a bad job.